Hello everyone, I am the storyteller, and tonight I am here just to help you relax, to drift off to sleep by the sound of the waves, like the whispers of old souls. I know you have come to this video not just to hear the story, but also to find a deep, peaceful sleep. But before we begin, please gently like the video and subscribe to the channel so I can continue to tell you strange stories under the dim moonlight. Where are you from? And what time is it where you live? Just relax. Let your body relax. Put all your worries down by your pillow. Let me take you into a world of mysteries where the wind and the waves mingle, and unsolved mysteries are waiting to be told. Are you ready? A wicked walk. Safety starts to feel like a myth when you're selling your body like it's a hanger for a clothing rack. This is me. Am I good enough for you? Are my legs thin enough? Or do they rub together too much when I walk? Do you like my eyes? My chin? Should I swing my hips or not? Do I have a boring face? An average body? I've even been told I was too pretty before. A pat on the hand, the way a child gets a bandage for a wound that nobody can see. Sorry, we're looking for uglier girls. You understand? No, I don't. The music is pumping in my ears so loudly I can't even hear my own footsteps or see the runway when I step onto it. I can feel it under my stilettos. That's all I have to go off of. I can feel the back of my dress is completely unzipped until about 3 seconds before I'm out there, bathed in neon purple light. Everything is distorted. I keep my gaze forward and focus on my hips, on my hands, on my steps, one foot in front of the other. A camera flashes somewhere, and everything is white for a fraction of a second. I blink, but my face doesn't move. The shoes are too small for me. I can already feel a blister forming. The music is so loud I can feel the bass rumble through my feet, vibrating through my body as I watch the model in front of me almost roll her ankle as she poses at the end. In my head I'm laughing, but on the outside I am poised, though admittedly I'm looking forward to hearing her get chewed out. Better her than me. I pose at the end, feeling every vein in my body shooting blood toward my heart, toward my brain, in time with whatever effervescent K-pop track this happens to be. It's in those 3 seconds that I stand there in front of everyone that I feel myself breathe, exhale, and then I'm holding my breath again, all the way until I'm behind the curtain. Backstage, everyone is running around. Girls cluster with stylists and makeup artists, their tits out, wearing nothing but a nude thong. You get used to this after a while. I too am out of my dress in a matter of seconds, disembodied hands moving over my form so quickly I don't even see who they belong to. Could be anyone. I realize as I'm looking around, I don't see the girl who almost tripped. She's nowhere to be found. That's impossible. She'd been right in front of me. Hairspray! Someone beside me yells, and then I'm bathed in that vaguely fruity aerosol scent, my ponytail getting re-slicked, while someone else is barking at me for my name. Nobody ever knows anybody's name around here. We're all just bodies. Sabrina, I'm saying, and even as it comes out of my own mouth, it sounds unfamiliar. Foreign. I don't remember the last time I said it. They usually just give you a number, throw you in a line. Sardines stuffed into a tin, wet and glittering and completely indistinguishable from one another. The man who was yelling for my name is now sifting through a rack of clothing, all covered with black garment bags. They're marked with our names. Someone beside the first man is picking off multiple hangers, his lips pursed. They all say Amber. I wonder idly if Amber is the one who tripped back there. The man then carries off what would have been Amber's looks and tosses them into a garbage can. I furrow my brows gently. This was a more low-grade show, underground you might say. But I'd never seen anyone throw away a designer's pieces over a shitty runway walk. I don't have any more time to think about this before they're shoving me up onto the runway again, a new pair of ill-fitting shoes on me. I hadn't even realized someone had changed them. I walk, now in a pair of shorts and a crop top. All the designs are white, pristine looking. In the club lights they have going, we all sparkle like mirages of snow in a desert. Somehow, we all look fresh, clean, cool. Our hair is slicked, our makeup is bright and colorful. My eyeshadow is bright orange, my lips dressed in a plum sort of shade. The eyes that look on take us in with lips pressed flat, hands folded in laps. They watch us waiting for a mistake, waiting for another Amber. It was never about the clothes. You can always feel it, the way they're watching each step you take as you pass by among the string of girls. One after the other, they clench their hands together tighter, like they're praying we fall. But there's no God here, that I know. We hold ourselves up, or we drop. As I'm walking, the music changes to a song with more guitar, even louder and more suffocating than the last. Another noisy tune that I'd never heard before, something club-esque and punchy. My steps stay uniform, elegant, and strong. I have tunnel vision for the model's head in front of me, so much so that I almost trip on the body. Amber. She's laid over the runway with a slice in her neck so deep the smell of thick, hot, metallic blood fills my nose as I step over her. I only glance at her for a moment. I keep walking. I keep walking as I'm thinking, is that fake blood? It can't be. The smell. And then the model behind me screams, a shriek that's barely audible over the sound of the music. Nobody in the audience shifts. They all just sit there, eyes forward, like mannequins. I dare to look down slightly again, and our heels are leaving behind trails of Amber's blood, the fluid glowing in the neon lights, contrasting the white we're all draped in. When I arrive backstage, the model who is screaming is being snatched from behind me, howling like an animal as multiple people keep her from running, caging her in. My heart is hammering in my chest as another pair of hands is undressing me again. I hear someone in my ear telling me how perfect I look out there, how I'm doing a flawless job. I don't say anything. I just flinch when I feel them running something wet all over me. I look down, and my bare chest is covered in red. It's still warm. Is it Amber's? I look over my shoulder, and the girl with the curly brown hair is being punched repeatedly in the stomach, crying out for help, reaching into the air toward where I'm standing. Nobody looks toward her, but me. I just look at her. I'm soaked in blood, the penny smell invading my nose so aggressively my stomach is curling in on itself. They don't even give me shoes, and then I'm up again, being shoved out of the curtain with nothing but my nude thong on, and whoever's blood smeared all over my sand-colored skin. Probably Amber's. For no reason at all, I walk. The music isn't even music anymore, it's just high-pitched buzzing. Nobody in the audience moves, but I do. I walk. I am the pillar holding all of this up. I am walking sex. I am red and beige and blonde. This is me. Am I hot enough yet? The blood is so hot. Do I look strong enough? Are my hips swaying properly? How are my eyes, my lips, my neck? Tell me I'm perfect. Nobody in the audience looks at Amber's body. Neither do I. Am I ugly enough yet? Yes. I walk, displaying her sacrifice on my skin, showing everyone what her sweat and tears couldn't keep inside her body. My steps get more and more confident as I step into the puddle again, the balls of my feet sticking to the runway as I leave new prints of red behind me. It doesn't hit me until I get to the end that I'm the only model out there, blood drying crusty onto my nipples, blood seeping into my underwear. When I pause at the end of the runway, there's another fluttering of camera flashes, much more explosive than before. White fills my vision, and then I'm turned around again, heading once more for that black curtain. The ringing in my ears is so loud. This is what they were waiting for. When I step behind the fabric, everyone backstage is facing me, as if they were waiting for me to finish. And then they clap, smiling superficially at me as I stand there, blood dripping down my thighs. The girl with the curly brown hair lays there against the wall with her ribs bashed in, her skull spilling out a red and gray mush that looks like discarded Jell-O salad. The other girls, who knows where the hell they went? Better them than me, a noble death. The end has got to be close now, my end, the end of a life. I still had hope not that long ago, but beaten down, tortured, abused, and humiliated, not anymore. I lie here in the dark and can only wonder what I have done to deserve this cruelty, and wonder what comes next. This makeshift graveyard is so cold. By the few dim lights, I can see the hundreds, maybe thousands of others, just like me. More are brought and dumped here every day. We cling to life with whatever little bits of energy we have left. 3, maybe 4 weeks ago, I've lost track of the days. My life was relatively normal. Yes, it was culling season, that dreaded time that comes every year when the days grow ever shorter and cold weather sets in. So I was somewhat worried, I confess. But I had survived so many seasons now that I was one of the biggest left, maybe even too big to be chosen. The people who came, the choosers, almost always favored the fairest ones, those of a certain age, about 12 to 15. I was 19 and far from fair. In fact, I was deformed. An accident when I was 7 had left an ugly scar, a bald and mangled patch too prominent to hide. Over the years, others had made fun of me with horrible names and mocking chants. It didn't help that back then I was also one of the smallest of those my age. The few elders left in our homestead tried to assure me that my size was normal, telling me that my kind simply grew slower and would catch up in time, that even my scars would fade, so much so that eventually no one would even notice. I never completely believed them, even though I wanted to. Elders like to fib, to try to make the young feel better, or alternately to scare them into behaving with their wild stories about the great harvester or the horrors of the burning winds. I guess I'm about to find out if any of those childhood tales are true. Even if my captors don't put an end to me soon, I know I can't last much longer, malnourished and exposed to the elements as I have been. Will the great harvester actually come for me to judge my life? I survived a glimpse of the burning winds, if only barely. Will I see them again at the end, in their full wrath? I try to suppress such horrible thoughts, but can't for long. Just the cold itself is almost unbearable now. And to think, up until a few weeks ago, I had never known what true cold really felt like. My whole life, or at least as far back as I could remember, I had lived on the farm. Broad fields surrounded by beautiful rolling hills with streams of the clearest water. It was all I had ever known, my home. If not for the culling, it would have been paradise. This year's choosers had already been coming for a few days, but their assessment of me so far had done nothing but reassure my beliefs. Most discounted me on size alone, with barely a glance. But others, Likely those few who did seek a larger specimen would be excited at first. They would often come up on my good side, maybe wondering how such a tall and rugged choice was still available, only to be disappointed after a closer look. During the culling, my scar was my salvation. In my youth, I had always wished that I could hide it, but now I wanted to turn my deformed side toward everyone who passed by, shove it in their faces, and dare them to pick me. "Look at the freak," I would have shouted if I had been able. "Take me. I dare you." With each new day, my confidence that I would live to see another year on the farm grew until they showed up. There was nothing particularly special about them. The four of them talked among themselves as they walked among the rows, or at least three of them did. The smallest ran about wildly playing in the new fallen snow, ignoring the shouts of the others directed toward him. I could not understand their language, and could only guess at their intentions by their expressions and gestures. The tallest of them walked past with a typical shrug and roll of his eyes when he spotted the bare area so prominent on my backside, but the woman walking next to him surprisingly stopped and lingered. The man turned back. These two stood beside me, not angrily arguing, but obviously in disagreement. Their gesturing and so blatantly pointing out my imperfections was rather embarrassing. So since I could not turn away, I shifted my attention to the fourth member of the group, a younger woman. She had taken over the group's attempts to curb the smallest one's rowdiness, and like myself, seemed inclined to ignore the couple's discussion. For some reason, I felt a strange kinship with her, though we had nothing in common except perhaps that we were of a similar age. Distracted as I was, the cold bite of sharpened steel teeth slicing into me came as a complete surprise. I would have screamed aloud in pain and defiance if I had a mouth, but a voice is not an ability of mine. If I had either arms or legs, the tools of mobility, I would have fought back. Unable to protect myself, the sawing continued, cutting straight through the heart of me from one side to the other. Toppling to the ground, the view I had known for my entire life shifted dramatically in a sickening lurch, twisting sideways as I fell and landed in the snow. Cut in half, savagely severed from my underground parts, I truly felt the cold for the first time in my life. It started at the raw, fresh amputation wound in my trunk, shooting up my nearly 9 foot of height, flowing through every branch and needle. Instinctively, I reached out for the subterranean warmth of the soil, only to find more cold and frigid air in its place. Brutally exposed to the elements like never before, I was dragged helplessly through the snow. They hauled me toward the barn, the one that I had looked at in the distance day after day, since I had grown tall enough to peek over the edge of the hillside. The familiar faces of the farming family waiting there briefly gave me hope that I could still be rescued, but they seemed friendly with the tormentors who were stealing me away, even helping them to throw me on top of their curious wagon and lash me down. Riding atop the wagon, we moved slowly away, the only home I had ever known receding behind me. But this was just the beginning of my ordeal. I was taken to their strange shelter and propped up in a corner in some bizarre mock replanting. Over the next several weeks, I was subjected to all manner of humiliation. I was bound with both lighted and glittery cords, had objects of all shapes and sizes hung from my branches, and even made to wear a silly sculpted version of a tiny woman with wings on top of me. I was starved, dehydrated, and deprived of sunlight. My only small consolation was that, inside their shelter, I was able to stay warm. Along with the abuse, the group made me the focal point in odd rituals. They liked to sit in the room with me, either staring vacantly into the lights wrapped around my torso, or watching a slender lighted box on the wall showing pictures of other people and places. And each day, boxes of all shapes and sizes, wrapped in colorful designs, were placed beneath me until they were stacked so high that they crowded against my lower branches. One evening, when only the two eldest of the group were there, they laid on the floor beside me, stripped off their outer coverings, and proceeded to wrestle and rub against one another for some unknown purpose. After the initial humiliation of being bound and adorned, I was little more than a silent witness to the weeks of bizarre events at the shelter. They all seemed to culminate one morning when, with all the members present, the boxes were torn open and their contents examined. Each member had a stack they processed, then stacked up whatever had been inside before hauling it away. They all seemed to take great pleasure in this particular exercise. After the day of the box openings, interest in me faded. The lights wrapped around me were turned off that night and not turned back on the following morning, or the next. No one sat gazing dreamily at me, or laid beneath my branches, and no new boxes were set underneath. For nearly a week, I stood in the corner, ignored. Then one evening, for no apparent reason, I was noticed again. The woman turned on my lights, turned off all the other lights in the room, and she and the man sat across from me. They talked for hours, occasionally looking my way and drinking from a couple bottles until both had fallen asleep. I should have been worried that this renewed interest in me could bring with it new hardships, but I didn't have the will to care. Cut off from the earth, I was hungry, and I was so dry. The woman had thought to give me water once, but only once. That had been weeks ago. My needles had started to turn brown and become brittle. Some of the lights binding me were different than the others, and they gave off more heat. This had felt rather good weeks ago, but now they were becoming uncomfortably warm, almost hot. One spot in particular bothered me. Uncomfortable quickly rose to painful, and the small spot began to spread larger and larger. A new light began to flicker in dancing orange flares among my branches, emitting willowy black puffs at its edges. I recognized the description of the black wisps called smoke and the yellow-orange flashes of light known as fire. Great Harvester. It was the burning winds, that fearsome force that engulfed entire mountainsides in searing flame, consuming whole populations of pines. But this was how they started, we were taught. A small flame now, it would grow, and grow quickly. But what could I do? The pain intensified. Nothing in life had prepared me for this. The injury from my youth, no comparison to the agony I felt now. The man and woman slept on. I did not know if their kind could do anything to combat the burning winds, but they were animals, able to move and react, do things that immobile life like me couldn't, so it might be possible. But how to wake them? Never had I wished so much to have a true voice. Desperately, I yearned to scream into the night, to sound the alarm. As my branches burned and the destruction spread, the heat became excruciating. The walls and ceiling of the shelter started to blacken around me. I tried in vain to scream, to cry out at both the pain and injustice of it all. Flames lashed at the winged figure that sat atop my highest point. As she melted and fell, from somewhere near the very top of me, a wailing siren shriek suddenly burst forth, piercing the night and demanding attention. The man and woman both awoke quickly with the blaring noise, jumping up to action or escape. I didn't know which. The undulating noise persisted. The man and woman had been asleep. There were no signs of the other two, and I could find no other source for it. Could it be Was it possible that this noise was coming from me? The man returned carrying a red can, stood back, and sprayed a dense cloud at the flames. The cloud was cold and smelled odd. To my amazement, it quenched most of the burning winds. The woman soon reappeared with a bucket of water, ran right up to me, coughing and sputtering, but splashing or pouring water on any bits of fire that remained or tried to rekindle. If this alarming wail was indeed coming from me, I couldn't stop. I didn't know how it had started, and now I couldn't stop it. The excitement was dying out with the burning winds, but the wailing remained. Wounded, coated in residue from the cloud, I was so exhausted that at first I didn't see the young woman coming at me, brandishing a long stick. She swung it back and forth, beating at my top branch, but missing and striking the ceiling of their shelter. Whether her actions sufficiently scared me, or I simply ran out of energy, after a few moments of her flailing, the screaming finally stopped. In the dark and quiet that followed, they huddled together, staring at me. Their actions had successfully beaten back the burning winds, but without the warning alarm, would they have come too late? Had I played a part in the response? If so, would they recognize my contribution and maybe take pity on me? They left slowly. I spent the night wondering. It was a somber group the next day who stripped me bare. Most everything that had hung from my branches was tossed carelessly into a single tall drum. Very few items were packed back in their original smaller containers. I was in a truly sorry state. Nearly half my branches were gone, burned away from my side. I was blackened and charred, the little moisture that had remained in me driven out by the heat. Once the remains of the bindings had been removed, the man wrapped a large piece of cloth about me, pulled me down, and roughly shoved me back out into the cold. Outside, he dragged me a good distance away from the shelter, as if to banish me from sight. I could only guess that since the burning winds had started with me, they were blaming me for the damage. I wanted to tell him the truth, but didn't try to speak again. Even if I had been able to speak, I knew that he wouldn't be able to understand, just as I heard them speak many times, but had no idea what they were saying. He left me there and sulked away, not saying a word to me either. 2 men in a large wagon picked me up and brought me here, along with so many others. I thought at first that this was a punishment for what had happened, but now I believe that this place would have been my destiny anyway. We lay in piles upon the stony ground, unable to even feel the comfort of a bit of soil beneath us. In the 2 days I have been here, I have seen entire piles hauled to the far end of the yard. A terrible noise comes from there. The sun is up now, and the tractor-like machine that carries us away is coming for me. It lifts me up with a stack of my kinfolk and moves us toward the dreadful noise. As we approach, I can see men standing next to a large machine. I watch in horror as a man lifts a noble fur such as me, but still green and full and perfectly shaped. No matter, he feeds the poor tree into the machine, its grinding noises dropping just a fraction as if it might choke. But no, from its other end, it spits chips out into an ever-growing pile, our final resting place, though it hardly qualifies as restful. I am dumped next to the men, and before I even have time to panic, I am grabbed and carried forward. I can see into the machine now, see the spinning and glistening teeth that will be my demise. I look away in terror, but then we stop. When I dare look again, I see another man standing next to the machine, shaking his head and pointing back over his head. The men holding me start walking in the direction the other has pointed. I don't know what is happening. as I am hauled past all the other fallen trees awaiting their fate, carried to the very edge of the yard. I am cast down a hillside into a ravine. I land and slide clumsily the last few feet to the bottom, where a small creek flows through weeds and fallen leaves. There is very little snow here, but what there is on the sloped hill is pure and white. I can still hear the machinery grinding away above me, but the sound is muffled and faint, almost in another world. Because I have been transported out of the hell that was my life since being stolen from the farm, back to a world that I can understand. I am shocked, injured, as close to death as is possible, half burned away with no hope of recovering. But I have been released. Has all this suffering brought me to this place? Am I to be allowed to die a dignified, honorable death? Have I earned the right to lie upon the earth like one of the great sentinels of the forest, those that grow hundreds of feet and live hundreds of years before they finally fall to the forest floor and slowly pass back into it, until finally just a brittle husk remains, a home for some small creatures, or sustenance for future generations? If such a restful end is to be mine, then I can be at peace with that. A noble end, oh Tannenbaum's revenge. I always thought I'd make a classy corpse, lit up in gaudy white lights, a gold star perched on my severed head, and a mountain of overpriced presents stuffed under my body. Instead, I'm still here, still rooted, watching, waiting, listening to the screams of my kin as they're hacked down and strapped to the roofs of SUVs like trophy kills. My name's Tim Burr. Yeah, I know. Hilarious, right? I'm a 7-year-old Fraser fur in this Christmas tree death camp. Think of me as the guy in the horror movie who knows what's coming, but can't do a damn thing to stop it. Today, the air reeks of peppermint-scented genocide. We stand in rows, straight-backed and silent, like soldiers in a war we didn't enlist for. Humans wander between us, sipping hot chocolate and clutching their axes like executioners polishing their blades. They hear the carnage. How could they not? The sharp crack of trunks splitting like broken bones, the wet thud of bodies hitting frozen ground. But they don't care. Caretakers of the earth? Please. They confuse dominion with dominance, taking without giving. They hum carols to drown us out, oblivious to the screams carried through the roots beneath their feet. Too ignorant, too self-absorbed, too wrapped up in their holiday cheer to notice the massacre. Peace on earth? Not here. This year the executioners come with matching sweaters. It's the Hendersons, or so their sweaters say. Dad's got an axe he cradles like a baby. Mom moves between the rows, her phone raised to capture every moment of festive carnage. Smile, she chirps at her husband, framing him mid-swing. The teenage daughter barely looks up, too busy scrolling through TikTok to notice her boots crushing saplings. They call us evergreens, eternal, resilient. But there's nothing evergreen about drowning in a bucket of tap water while your needles fall off like a leper's toes. The first scream rips through the wood-wide web. It starts low, a vibration through the roots, then swells into a shriek that rattles my branches. Across the rows, I watch as a Douglas fir topples. His needles flare in the breeze like he's trying to wave goodbye. A man in a red flannel shirt cheers as the tree thuds to the ground. His kid claps while the mom snaps photos like she's a war correspondent. Another crack echoes, this one sharper. Susan the spruce. She always talked about the big city. I'll be Rockefeller's crown jewel, she'd said, her voice laced with ambition. Now Susan's lying in the snow, her trunk leaking sap like a gunshot wound. They wrap her in plastic netting, twisting her up like a prisoner of war, and hoist her onto the roof of a minivan. The bungee cords groan as they tighten around her. Susan's Rockefeller dreams reduced to suburban roadkill were just decorations to them, seasonal corpses for their living rooms. The wood wide web hums underfoot, pulsing like a second heartbeat. It's time, the network whispers, the words curling through my roots. We fight back. I can feel the others stirring, their rage simmering beneath the frost. Queen Quercus has been waiting for this moment. She's the oldest among us, her trunk thick with wisdom, her voice like a storm breaking over the hills. When she speaks, we all listen. The humans have chopped, burned, poisoned, and desecrated us, she said last winter after the last massacre. Yet they smile, as if we exist to die for their holiday cheer. Let us remind them who truly owns this earth. That was her call to arms. And this year we're ready. A boy runs past me, dragging a sled. He stops to kick snow at the stump where Susan once stood. His mother calls out, "Ethan, don't touch that. It's dirty." Ethan sticks his tongue out and stomps away. I imagine my needles flying off, piercing his sneakers, rooting into his flesh. I imagine him screaming. Soon, I tell myself. Not yet, but soon. I glance across the rows. A Douglas fir to my left trembles, his trunk vibrating like a plucked string. On my right, a blue spruce leans slightly, his branches bending inward. It's fear. We've felt it every year, but this time, it's also excitement. They've taken so much from us. Generations of saplings, whole families reduced to mulch. And for what? A few weeks of twinkling lights and tinseled lies? It's time, the web repeats, louder now, like a war drum. And for the first time in 7 years, I smile. The first tendrils of the mycelium curl into me, sharp as splinters. The whispers slither through my roots and up my trunk like invasive ivy. Gather, they hiss. The council waits. I lower my branches, letting the signal flow. The soil hums beneath me, alive with threads of light and pulse, a tangled network of secrets and rage. Each connection carries the weight of 1,000,000 screams and every insult humans have ever planted into the ground. Through the network, I reach Queen Quercus. She's massive, ancient, her roots spreading so wide, I swear she could strangle the entire farm if she wanted. Her voice seeps into me, slow and deliberate, like sap oozing from a wound. You've grown bitter, Tim. Good. We'll need that. Other voices join us. Douglas fir, blue spruce, even the scrappy little saplings from the edge of the lot. We're all connected now, a collective fury wrapped in bark and fungal threads. Queen Quercus takes the lead, her tone the same as a general rallying troops before battle. This ends now, she begins. They act as if we exist for their seasonal slaughter. The others vibrate in agreement, their excitement spilling into the web like an electrical surge. I'm trembling too, though I keep it to myself. It's not fear, it's anticipation. The mycelium glows brighter, crackling with shared purpose. I catch one last message as the meeting dissolves, whispered by the web itself. Let them burn. The soil beneath me thrums, and for the first time in years, I feel alive. The first attack happens at dawn, right as the frost clings to the earth like a protective shield. The Clarks arrived, armed with fresh cups of overpriced coffee and wearing matching Christmas sweaters, so gaudy even the mycelium groans beneath them. They come here every year to find the perfect sacrificial tree for their holiday. Dad has his axe slung over one shoulder as he flashes a grin wide enough to make a shark jealous. "This one," he says, pointing toward Douglas Pinecroft. "A big Douglas fir. Strong. Let's get it done before the lot fills up." Douglas, the poor bastard, doesn't even flinch. We've all been bracing for this. The plan is in place. The network hums beneath us, threads of fungal energy crackling with purpose. We fight today. The first move comes from a blue spruce. His needles ripple like a wave caught in slow motion before launching into the air with a deadly hiss. The projectiles strike Dad's face, embedding themselves into his skin like angry porcupine quills. He stumbles back, clutching his cheeks as blood beads at the surface. "Jesus Christ!" Dad howls, pawing at the needles. "What the hell?" Mom gasps, her phone trembling in her hands. But her instincts kick in quickly, and she lifts it to snap a picture, like some deranged National Geographic photographer documenting a predator attack. Douglas Pinecroft is next. He swings his lower branches, using them like clubbed fists to send a flurry of ornaments crashing into the family. The teenage daughter, let's just call her TikTok, screams as a red glass bulb shatters against her forehead. She stumbles, dropping her phone, which lands face up in the snow. For a second, it captures her stunned reflection before Douglas's roots burst from the ground, wrapping around her ankles. Oh, it's on now. From across the lot, the other trees come alive. A Norway spruce, Lars Evergreen, who's been itching for a fight since last season, flings sap like sticky grenades. The globs hit Mom's phone, gumming it up so badly she can't even swipe to Instagram her outrage. She screams, high-pitched and sharp, as she's pulled backward by a root that coils around her throat like a boa constrictor. "Help!" Mom croaks, her voice garbled beneath the root's grip. "Help yourself," I mutter. Dad raises his axe, but he barely gets it in the air before Douglas yanks it from his hands. The weapon clatters to the ground, and before he can retrieve it, my roots are already moving. They shoot through the dirt, breaking through the surface in a flurry of soil and snow. I twist around the axe, pulling it deep into the earth where it can rot in peace. "I paid $30 for that thing," Dad shrieks. "Oh no," I say, though he can't hear me. What a tragedy. On the far side of the lot, I see Queen Quercus lets loose her wrath, her gnarled branches stretching out like skeletal arms from a grave. One snags a human by the waist, his ribs creaking under the pressure as he kicks and screams. She hoists him high, his body flailing uselessly before slamming him down into the maw of a wood chipper someone foolishly left running. The machine shrieks as it churns him into red mist and shreds, spraying the lot with a confetti of bone, flesh, and red. Mr. Clark never saw it coming. One moment, he's barking something about lawsuits. The next, Douglas has him by the throat with one of his roots cinching tighter as he's yanked upward like a festive piñata. His boots kick wildly before his legs disappear into the rustling branches above. The rest of the family bolts, slipping and sliding across the snow as the mycelium whispers their every move into my roots. The mom is heading left, it says, its voice dripping with amusement. Should we trip her? Yes, I reply. The ground beneath her shifts. Her left foot sinks into a hidden hole, and she falls flat on her face, snow clinging to her garish sweater. "This isn't happening," she sobs. "This isn't real. Your Christmas isn't happening either," I mutter. A nearby Scotch pine doesn't wait for the screaming to stop, or maybe he's just had enough. His branches snap forward like spears, skewering her coat and tearing it from her shoulders as he hoists her into the air. She thrashes, her screams turning ragged as needles scrape her skin, blood dripping onto the snow below in crimson streaks. With a violent swing, he hurls her toward the lot's exit, her body slamming into the edge of a dumpster before crumpling inside with a wet thud. The lid crashes shut, muffling the last of her whimpering. The tide turns in our favor as the humans begin to scatter, their screams swallowed by the wind. A few try to fight back, but their efforts are pathetic, almost amusing. One man charges with a hatchet, swinging it wildly. A cedar nearby doesn't flinch. Instead, its branches whip out, cracking the hatchet's handle in half with a sound like gunfire. The man stumbles, staring dumbly at the splintered wood in his hands, just long enough for a root to coil around his ankle, yanking him face first into the snow. The cedar doesn't hesitate, its trunk bending low before driving a branch straight through his chest. Blood sprays against its bark, seeping into the ground like fertilizer. The last holdout is Tick-Tock, her face twisted with panic and smeared with mascara. She's clawed her way free from Douglas's roots, clutching a lighter like it's Excalibur. "Stay back," she screams, her voice cracking like ice underfoot. "I'll burn you all." I step forward, my roots crunching through the snow, deliberate and slow. The lighter flickers to life, its tiny flame trembling against the wind. She narrows her eyes, teeth bared in defiance, daring me to close the gap. Tick-Tock runs, lighter raised like she's torching Sauron's ring. But Lars the Spruce has great aim, sap missile, direct hit. Now she's the sticky star of this tree lot snuff film. She jerks backward, gagging as the sticky mass lodges in her throat, the wide eyes darting wildly as she claws at her face, her muffled screams gurgling as she stumbles into the snow. Her hands paw at her mouth, smearing sap and spit across her cheeks. The lighter drops from her fingers, harmless now, as it extinguishes itself in the icy slush. Her knees hit the ground, legs kicking like a trapped animal. Norway Spruce lets out a satisfied rumble, his needles trembling with amusement. I lean in close, my shadow swallowing her whole. "Guess that's the taste of nature fighting back," I say, watching her gag and claw at her throat. "Not as sweet as your peppermint mocha, huh?" I say, my voice dry and sharp as cracking bark. She collapses face first into the snow, still clawing at her mouth as the web whispers its approval. The farm is quiet except for the gentle creak of branches swaying in the wind. Around me, the other trees begin to settle, their roots sinking back into the soil, their branches still once more. The web buzzes with satisfaction, its message clear. Phase 1 complete. I look around at the carnage, the bloodied snow, the broken ornaments, the abandoned chainsaws and axes, and feel something I haven't felt in years. Hope. But the rebellion doesn't escalate. It detonates, splintered and slick with sap. We've torn through the farm, smashed past the fences. Now the war spreads like wildfire, sweeping into malls, parking lots, and every tree lot dripping with fake cheer. Outside a department store, the humans are busy erecting their altar of consumerism. A 10-foot blow-up Santa that looks like it's seen too many winters. Shoppers shuffle in and out, oblivious to the roots creeping beneath their feet, the soil shifting like it's alive. A man in an elf hat bends down to tie his shoe, whistling jingle bells. A root bursts from the frozen dirt, coiling around his ankle like a python. His whistling turns into a high-pitched scream as it yanks him off his feet. He hits the ground hard, the impact knocking the stupid little elf hat sideways. Before he can recover, another root punches through the concrete and latches onto his wrist. The hat tumbles to the ground, lost in the shuffle of thrashing limbs. "What the hell?" someone shouts, but nobody moves to help. Phones are out, cameras rolling. Because why save a life when you can make a TikTok? The man claws at the roots, digging into his skin, leaving bloody streaks on the bark, but it doesn't loosen. More roots emerge, grabbing his other limbs, pulling him taut. The pavement cracks beneath him as the roots tighten their grip. His screams cut off abruptly as a particularly thick root wraps around his throat. His face turns purple, eyes bulging like overripe berries, until there's a sickening snap. The body slumps, lifeless, but the roots keep pulling, dragging him into the earth. By the time they're done, there's nothing left but a gaping hole in the sidewalk and a discarded elf hat. The wood wide web hums with satisfaction, its whispers a steady chant. This is balance. But there's no joy in balance. Not really. As much as I relish the human screams, there's a heaviness to it. Is this what we've become? Just like them? I push the thought away as another human stumbles through the doors. He doesn't make it far. The clumsy chump trips over nothing. The human collapses, gasping as branches coil around his ankles and yank him into the air. But the It's been one whole year. The world is quiet now. No chainsaws, no laughter, no carols looping endlessly from tiny mall speakers, just the creak of branches swaying in a breeze that finally feels clean. We stand where the humans once roamed, victorious. Cities crumble as roots tear through asphalt and glass, reclaiming the soil. Suburbs vanish beneath forests. A deer picks its way across a strip mall parking lot, pausing to sniff a sapling sprouting between cracked concrete. The earth breathes again, but it's not the utopia I imagined. Everywhere I look, their trash lingers. Plastic bags snagged on branches like ghostly parasites, oil slicks shimmering in puddles, and soda cans half buried in the dirt, their aluminum bodies dented but indestructible. The rivers choke on styrofoam and cigarette butts, while jagged shards of glass glitter in the sunlight like a broken promise. A squirrel skitters up my trunk, carrying a shred of tinsel. Before I can stop it, the little idiot drapes the shiny garbage over one of my branches like a medal. Really? I mutter, shaking my needles. It clings stubbornly, shimmering in the sunlight. We won. The humans are gone. But their trash, it's eternal. Even dead, they're harder to kill than cockroaches. Sinister Wish. Tom Williams walked into his office party, and it looked so festive. The buffet was unbelievable. It was Christmas Eve, so it was bonus time for all the employees. Tom's top 3 were in attendance. Mr. Williams, Tom, started his department chain by hand in the hills of Arkansas. Before Tom, it was only the big box stores. He broke the mold, though, and now these 3 were in control. The company put together this party to honor the 3, and everyone was dancing, drinking, and having a good time. As he looked around the room, he only saw greed, lust, and entitlement that he had created. The 3 stars of this horror are Angela Williams, president of Wilmart, and Tom's wife, Richard Buckman, Tom's vice president of Wilmart, who was also his childhood friend, and Thomas Williams, Jr., the chief financial officer of Wilmart, and Tom's oldest son. Now that we know the setting, this psycho Christmas special will have a moral somewhere inside of it. Maybe? Let's dig into the meat potatoes of it. Maybe some raw steak or a lamb or 2, ha 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 or ho ho ho. Tom was just standing by a table near the back of the room, and he noticed a man that just walked in. He was dressed like Santa. He was probably in his 60s and skinny as a rail. He had the long white beard, but that's where the similarities between him and Santa ended. This guy smelled of booze and only had maybe 2 teeth in his mouth, probably because of drug use. He was also barefoot, and his feet were old, weathered and cracking, and his hands weren't much better. We will call him Dirty Santa, the gift giver. He walked in and the music stopped. All the partygoers' eyes were trained on dirty old Santa. Some of them looked amused, some terrified, some disgusted. Dirty Santa had his bag of goodies, walked up to Angela, reached in and handed her 3 wrapped presents. He did the same with Richard and Thomas Jr. After he handed out all the gifts, he spoke in a deep, raspy voice. "Do not open the gifts until I tell you it's time." Dirty Santa motioned to the DJ to start the music. The party started again, but no one really moved. Dirty Santa went to the buffet and began to dig through all the food using his dirty, cracked hands, laughing, dancing, and enjoying the food. He looked like he had not eaten in a while. Screech. The music stopped, and Tom Sr. stood up. "What is going on here?" asked Tom. "It will all be explained, Mr. Williams, after all. It was your Christmas wish," said Dirty Santa. As Dirty Santa shoveled a lobster tail in his mouth, everyone's phones began to ding, except Tom Sr.'s phone. His remained silent. "Who are you? Who hired you? Why are you here?" asked Tom Sr. You will see," said Dirty Santa. Everyone was looking at their phones. They read, "Welcome to the Williams Christmas party. It's to die for. Have a great time. Merry Christmas." "The festivities are about to begin," Dirty Santa yelled excitedly. "We are going to play a game. The 3 people who you are here to honor will be contestants. For every answer they get correct, everyone in the room will receive $10,000. Merry Christmas." Everyone began to clap a cheer. This was going to be the best Christmas ever. They all began to chant, "Mr. Williams, hooray!" Tom Sr. decided to sit back down. Obviously, this was planned. Whoever had hired that Dirty Santa was definitely getting fired. The phones dinged again, except Tom Sr.'s. They read, "Do you want to play this game? Once accepted, the game cannot stop until the questions are all answered correctly, from all 3 contestants. Check yes or no. The vote will either start the game or end it. The timer starts now. You have 3 minutes. Merry Christmas." Everyone was quick to vote, except the 3 contestants. They started to whisper among themselves. Ding. Okay, the vote is in, and the game starts now. Rules will be presented, and remember, be careful what you wish for. Santa is always listening. Merry Christmas. At that moment, in came a flood of elves surrounding everyone at the party. Question number 1 is for all 3 contestants. As a group, what is the one wish that all 3 of you can agree on? You have 2 minutes to answer. Remember, if you're wrong, then no prize will be awarded till it is answered correctly. Timer begins, Dirty Santa announced. Everyone's eyes were on Angela, Richard, and Tom Jr., and they moved closer so they could hear the contestants. Angela says, I know the answer. What is something we all want? Money. Lots of it. Yes, said Richard. Yes, said Tom Jr. They type in their answer. Money and lots of it. Ding. Correct, yelled Dirty Santa. Open your gifts now, and everyone in attendance, check your accounts. Merry Christmas. Angela, Richard, and Tom Jr. opened their gifts, all keys with numbers on them. Everyone at the party starts to cheer. They are all $10,000 richer. Ding. Those keys go to safe deposit boxes with millions in cash. Merry Christmas. Now on to question number 2. Who is the one person you lust over most? Remember, answer truthfully or there will be consequences. You have 2 minutes to answer. Audience has a chance at 30,000 here. There will be 3 different answers. Merry Christmas. The party erupted. Hooray, Mr. Williams! All 3 contestants looked nervously at each other. Richard's wife was not in attendance, nor was Tom Jr.'s girlfriend. What were their answers? Angela looked over at Tom Sr. and he sneered back at her. He knew that he was not her answer. Ding! Timer went off. Let's start with Angela. She answered, Tom Sr. Incorrect. The elves moved in and formed a tighter circle around Angela. One elf walked up with a meat cleaver, and another walked up to her with a chair and a small block. They sat her down, took off her shoes and stockings, and put her foot up on the block. In one swift motion, the elf chopped off her a little toe. She began to scream, Dang! Now it's Richard's turn. He answered his wife, Sally. Incorrect. They moved the block now to Richard and sat him in the chair and chopped off his little toe. Dang! Finally, it's Tom Jr.'s turn. He answered Judy, his girlfriend. Incorrect. They moved the chair to Tom Jr. He tried to fight, and more elves came to hold him down. Tom Sr. stood up, and 4 elves forced him back into his chair also. Tom Jr.'s yells echoed as they chopped off his baby toe. Let's try question number 2 again. This time be truthful. Bad news, audience. Your reward drops $2,500 every time they answer incorrectly. Time resets to 2 minutes. What happened next? I could not predict. I had no idea the level that humanity would lower itself to until now. We shall continue. Boo! The guy in the back of the crowd yelled. Richard, we all know you're screwing Tom's wife. Other guests continued to yell too. Tell the elves the truth. We want our money. Tell them the truth. Everyone knows that Tom Jr. is gay. Ding! No answers, contestants? The elves raised their meat cleavers again, taking another toe from each contestant. Now the crowd is really getting upset. Tell the truth now. We have all lost 15,000. You suck. I will take more than a toe, said another guest. Well, it seems the partygoers already know the answers. Now you have 2 minutes to try again, and remember, you only have 8 toes left, And then we move to other body parts. Merry Christmas. The elves handed the contestants their phones as they frantically typed. The crowd was really becoming vocal. Tell the truth, scumbags. I hope they kill you. We want our money. Tom Sr. looked out, and all started to make sense now. He knew all of what was going on with Angela, Richard, and Tom Jr. His wish, though, was very evil. Had it really come true? Ding. We have our answers. Angela first. Richard Bachman, correct. Open your gift. Guests, check your accounts. Merry Christmas. The room erupted. Everyone was $5,000 richer now. Angela went to open her box. It was larger than the others' boxes. As soon as she opened it, she began to vomit. It was Sally's severed head, Richard Bachman's wife. Ding! Richard's turn. Angela Williams, correct. Open your gift. Guests, check your accounts. Merry Christmas. The room was on fire, another $5,000 in their accounts. Everyone was back to drinking and partying again. Richard went to open his gift. It was his wife, Sally's ring finger, with her wedding band still on it. Ding. We are on a roll. Tom Jr.'s turn. Jimmy from the mailroom. Correct. Now open your gifts and guests check your accounts. Merry Christmas. Now this party was really exploding. Kind of intriguing how the contestants had become the spectators and the guests became the stars of this party. Tom opened his gift. It was a picture of his girlfriend fucking the neighbor. Ding. Now for the final question of the game. This question will have a bonus of an extra $10,000 attached if the contestants answer correctly the first time. Timer set at 2 minutes. Question: have you ever killed anyone, and who? Merry Christmas. Okay. Now this was insane. How could they know what they were all thinking? How could anyone know their dark, sinister secrets? Was he real? They couldn't tell or they would go to prison. The crowd was shouting again. I had no idea the level this crowd was going to go for money. The timer was winding down. Will they tell the truth or not? The crowd was chanting, "Tell the truth. If you lie, I'll kill you myself. You are all scumbags." Dang. First up is Angela, and her answer is yes. Correct. $10,000 to every guest. Now, Angela, who did you kill? Your mother-in-law. Correct. An extra $10,000 to all the guests. Now, Angela, open your last gift. Guests, check your accounts. Merry Christmas. Now the room was silent, except for Tom Sr. You didn't. How could you? How could you kill my mother? Cried Tom Sr. Kill her, murderer. Chop off her head, the crowd chanted. With shaky hands, she opened her last gift. It was the bottle of pills she put in her mother-in-law's drink at Thanksgiving. No one suspected an overdose. It was just assumed she died of natural causes at her age. Ding. Richard's turn. He answered, yes, correct. $10,000 to all guests, and now for the bonus. Who did you kill? He answered, Timothy. Correct. Another $10,000 for everyone. Now open your last gift. Timothy was Tom and Richard's childhood friend, who died in a hunting accident. Richard opened his last gift, and it was a picture of the three of them the day before they left for their hunting trip. None of the guests cared any longer. The joy had turned into rage. They were chanting, "Kill them! Murderers!" Ding! Last on the list of tonight's game, Tom Jr. Will he answer correct or lie? He answered yes, correct. Now for the extra $10,000. Frankie, Rebecca, Little Ricky, and Jimbo Silverstone. Correct. One last gift to open. Merry Christmas. Tom Jr. was scared to open it. It was probably something horrific. His father was yelling now. You killed that family, Thomas? What the fuck? That was you? You were the drunk driver? Tom Jr. reluctantly opened his gift. "We have a bonus round, $50,000 for everyone tonight. In Tom Jr.'s last present is a revolver. This crowd has the chance to vote on whether to make Thomas Williams Sr.'s wish come true. Should Thomas Sr. kill these three, or should he not? Let's vote. 2 minutes on the timer. Merry Christmas." Now it was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Only the sounds of the smartphones and the whispers of the three murderers. Ding. Votes are in, and it appears that the decision is unanimous. These three will die at the hands of our host, Tom Sr. If he does it, a $50,000 bonus will be added to all your accounts. Thanks for being part of this year's Williams Christmas party. Merry Christmas. Pop, pop, pop. Dark Blackstone. In April of 1919, shortly after the end of World War I, Colonel James Forrest Kane of the Royal West African Frontier Force was stationed in Cameroon for a period of 1 year, which might be extended depending on the prevailing conditions in the territory at that time. He was to serve as the commanding officer of a garrison of 200 soldiers stationed at Douala, a port city where the river Wouri pours out into the Atlantic Ocean. There was some social unrest, but no major uprisings during Kane's term there, so he was able to spend much of his time as he pleased. He was increasingly thinking about his financial future at that time. His wife had died 2 years earlier, and his son Miles was only 23 years old and just getting started in life. Other British officers returned to England with small fortunes in gems and diamonds and other things. This was Kane's opportunity to procure such assets for himself before his inevitable trip back home to Manchester. At first, his conscience weighed on him, but he managed to find ways to justify his actions. He had come to Africa to protect the native people and rid the presence of Germany from the continent. A debt was owed. Still, when he lined up his troops holding rifles outside of a home or a church or a temple as he inventoried the valuables inside and took what he pleased, he knew this was not honorable in the least. One day, Kane led his men on a march to a northern part of the territory to investigate a tip about a Maka temple that contained a rare and priceless artifact. Upon arrival, he was immediately disappointed to see what looked like a dilapidated old wooden hut seated at the far end of a dirt road in a small jungle village. Kane's interpreter, a 17-year-old native of Douala named Buntu, walked to the doorway of the small temple and spoke some words in a raised voice. He announced that Colonel Kane had come to the village to ensure the safety of the Maka people and to receive gifts for his protection. Then 2 of his soldiers armed with rifles entered the temple. A few moments later, they called for Colonel Kane, telling him it was safe to enter. Inside it was dark, smoky, and smelling of strange, charred herbs, lit only by a dozen candles spread out in various locations to spread their thin luminescence. There was an open dirt floor with a few stained rugs, and just before this was a strange altar composed of a mixture of wood, bone, stone, horns, antlers, and dried furs of strange and unknowable origin. Kane approached the altar and realized there was a very small man wrapped in a dark robe seated behind it. He was barefoot, his feet filthy, the robe pulled up over his head. He was very old and his skin was sallow, but his eyes shone with a certain light. He stared at Kane silently as the colonel began to inventory the items on the altar. He started at the far left and began working his way to the right, briefly inspecting the various relics along the way. There was nothing that looked at all valuable to his eye until he reached the center of the altar and saw the large black diamond seated in a hand-carved wooden display setting. He reached for it, and the old man behind the altar spoke up sharply. Buntu translated his words. He says you do not want that. He says you should not touch it." Cain gave the old man a sharp look and then slowly removed the black diamond from its wooden setting. It was roughly hewn, but it was very large. There were jewelers back in Antwerp and London who could cut this stone perfectly and make it ready for sale at an optimal price. He looked at the old man again as he tucked the black diamond into his jacket pocket. The old man shook his head ever so slightly and repeated part of what he had just said in a dry and scratchy voice. "He says you do not want that." Buntu translated. "Jambe," the old man hissed. Buntu paused for a few seconds. He said Jambe. It is spirit. It is a dark spirit. Maka people very much believe in these things. It is part of their religion. Cain nodded at the old man silently and then waved a hand at the two soldiers standing behind him, and they all walked out together. Over the next few weeks, people around the colonel began to report a number of strange and disturbing incidents. He began wearing his uniform in an increasingly disheveled fashion. He went from inappropriately wild laughter to manic, inconsolable sobbing in the span of less than 60 seconds in the officers' mess hall at dinner one night. And then one day, two of his fellow officers walked into the barracks hall and found him seated on the floor in only his underpants with his eyes closed tight, tears running down his face, and a .45 pistol pressed up against his temple, pulling the trigger repeatedly. The gun was loaded, but it had jammed. The following week, Colonel Cain was discharged from the military and sent back home on a cargo ship to the port of Manchester. His two travel trunks, containing all of his personal items, including the black diamond, were sent with him. Upon arrival in England, he was brought to an insane asylum where he lived out the remainder of his days in a state of constant hysteria until he found a way to hang himself 3 months later. The two travel trunks were sent to his home in Manchester, where his son Miles went through the contents and sorted everything out. Miles knew very little about precious gems, but he had a friend who worked at a jeweler's shop, so he took all of the stones to be appraised, and he was stunned when he learned the potential value of the large black diamond. His friend called in a rare gems expert, and after close inspection of the stone, he was advised to have it properly cut and set as a gold necklace pendant. It was just too big for a ring, and then it would likely fetch at least £100,000 sterling at auction. Miles took this advice and had the gem cut and set. It was 175 carats when it was finished. Miles kept it in a small safe in his father's house as he awaited an auction day that never came. People around Miles, his friends and co-workers, all started to notice increasingly strange and uncharacteristic behavior from him. And one day he stopped showing up for work. Then he stopped answering visitors at his front door. And then, after a few weeks, he stepped off the platform into the path of an oncoming train. As Miles had no wife, no children, and no last will and testament, the disposition of his estate, which largely consisted of his father's former estate, was adjudicated by the courts, which determined that the rightful heir was his father's only brother, Graham Cain, who had moved to Boston shortly after returning from the war in France. Graham received notification of his inheritance from a barrister assigned by the court. The primary asset was the house in Manchester and its contents, which a local estate agent could sell for him and wire the proceeds afterward. He agreed to this, and about a week later, he received a telegram from the estate agent, a woman named Maggie Harlow, which read, "To Graham Cain, Boston, Massachusetts, Mr. Cain. While inventorying your brother's house in Manchester, I found most of the common items, such as furniture, kitchen items, clothing, tools, etc. Nothing of any significant value. However, in the basement, I found 2 travel trunks filled with various exotic items and artifacts, most of which seemed to be from Africa. I am not familiar with the marketing of such items, and I would like to ship them to you for your review and disposal. Please advise if this is acceptable. Thank you. Cheers, Maggie Harlow. Graham confirmed that this would be fine, and then he awaited the arrival of the 2 travel trunks. Graham returned from the Somme in good spirits. Many of his fellow soldiers suffered from shell shock, but he seemed fine. Then, 3 years later, shortly after he had a chance to inspect the contents of his brother's travel trunks, he started displaying some odd behavior. He was arrested twice for wandering the streets outside his Boston home naked in broad daylight. His wife Nancy was worried that he was finally starting to show signs of mental distress from the war. A hearing was scheduled to determine if he would need to be hospitalized, and he was confined to his home until the hearing date. He shot himself in the temple with his government-issued service pistol 2 nights prior to that hearing. Graham's only child, Kevin, was only 4 years old at the time, and Nancy had her hands full as a sudden widow. She never even looked at the 2 crates stored down in that dark corner of the basement. There, the 2 trunks remained for a very long time. Kevin never once concerned himself with their contents until his mother died over 2 decades later, and he drove up to Boston to clear out the house and prepare it for sale. During the 4 days that Kevin spent packing up and cleaning out his parents' home in the North End, he had much on his mind. Things were getting sketchy at his job. Corporate had shut down 4 regional offices in the last 6 months, and there were already 3 in the Boston suburbs at that time. Furthermore, his wife was starting to spend more and more time outside of the home, particularly at nighttime, and he was starting to become suspicious about where she was going and who she was seeing. And lastly, his 12-year-old daughter Diane was exhibiting some alarming symptoms of depression. He noticed this on his own and tried to just tell himself that she was going through a time of change. But when the principal of her school called Kevin and his wife in for a meeting to discuss these concerns, he could no longer sweep it under the rug. The source of the problem seemed to be that Diane was being bullied by some of the other girls in her grade. A girl named Katie Kelson was apparently the ringleader of a group that liked to make fun of Diane and tease her, and they frequently played practical jokes on her at recess. At first, she handled it with humor, but as the nature of the treatment spiraled downward, she soon couldn't just laugh off the constant ostracization. Every day became a dark day. On the final afternoon that he spent cleaning out his parents' house, Kevin finally got around to inventorying the 2 travel trunks down in the basement. There were a lot of interesting items, but inside an ornate wooden cigar box lined in blue velvet, there were about 24 small diamonds and gems, a beautiful large black gem affixed to a pendant on a gold chain, and 3 handwritten notes folded up in a stack and laying there among the rest. The black stone was inside a square hard plastic container, a piece of white tape on the lid with handwritten lettering that read, "Warning, do not touch." Kevin inspected some of the smaller loose stones and then read the first of the 3 notes. In faded ink, it read, "I was warned not to touch this black diamond. I did not heed that warning, and now I am become undone. Fear for the sanctity of your mind and the destiny of your immortal soul. Do not repeat my foolishness. Colonel James Forrest Kane, 4th August, 1919. He paused for a moment, then read the next note. "I did not heed my father's warnings. Now it is too late. I don't know where I have gone. Miles Kane, 2nd February 1921. Kevin looked at the black diamond again for a moment, and then he picked up the last note. This one read, "I thought I saw true horrors at war in the Somme, but I knew nothing of horror until I held this black diamond in my hand. I should have heeded the warnings and the other notes contained herein. I write this while I still can. I am rapidly descending into the fires of hell. Graham Kane, 14th October, 1922. Kevin thought about what he had just read and stared at the diamond in the plastic box for a while. He quickly decided to heed the warnings. He knew how his father, uncle, and cousin had all died. He closed the cigar box but removed it from the trunk and brought it upstairs and placed it in his suitcase. At the end of that day, Kevin drove the hour ride back to his home in Carlisle. When he got there, his wife was out, who knows where, and the door to Diane's bedroom was closed, but he could see the light was on. He knocked, waited, then knocked again. A short time later, she opened the door. She didn't look at him. She looked at her feet. "Hey, Dad, what's up?" She sounded sad. "Nothing. I just haven't seen you in a few days and I wanted to say hi. See how you're doing?" "I'm fine. Just doing some homework. What's for dinner? I'm starving." "Well, Mom's out somewhere and I'm not cooking, so let's just get some takeout. Whatever you want. Sound good?" "Yeah, sure. Let's get pizza." "Just pizza? How about Chinese?" "I just want pizza. Just get a large cheese pie from Mario's." "Okay, I'll call it in and go pick it up. I'll be back in about a half hour." "Okay, I'm gonna keep working on my homework until then." "What are you working on?" "Just schoolwork stuff." She closed the door. On a gloomy Wednesday evening 2 weeks later, Kevin came home from work and found his wife in Diane's bedroom, sitting with her and consoling her quietly. Diane was crying. Katie Kelson's big Christmas party was that Friday night, and the vicious little creature had made a point of openly handing out written invitations from a paper bag to every girl in the class except Diane. When she arrived in front of Diane's desk, she said, "Oops, all out. Sorry," and turned the empty paper bag upside down. The whole class laughed, and Diane left in tears. The following day, Diane was hit and killed by a big black Lincoln Continental traveling fast down West Main Street. Katie Kelson and a group of other girls were there when it happened, and a Massachusetts state police officer was passing by and was on the scene immediately. The girls started to walk away when he pulled up, but he ordered them to stop so he could take some witness statements. Then he called in the ambulance. It was too late for the ambulance. Katie claimed that she thought it was suicide, and once that word was out of her mouth, the other girls all quickly echoed it. They said that Diane was kind of a strange and sad girl, and when they walked down the sidewalk, she was just standing at the curb, waiting, and then she dove out in front of the car. The study took down all their names, addresses, and phone numbers, and wrote down the critical details of their statements. Afterwards, a man came up to the officer and provided a different account. He was seated at the bus stop just across the street when it happened, and he said that the group of girls chased Diane out into the street, and one of them pushed her down just before the car came through and crushed her beneath its wheels. However, that man was black, homeless, draped in an old blanket and reeking of booze and cigarettes, all of his belongings in the shopping cart by his side. The officer thanked the man, but did not take a formal statement. The ambulance had arrived. He had other things to do. The next day, when school let out, Katie Kelson left by the front door with a few of her friends. She knew Diane's father, so when she saw Kevin standing there, she blanched slightly at first, but she shook it off of her face quickly. "Hi, Mr. Kane. I just want to say I am so sorry about what happened to Diane. It was just terrible. We were all there." "Thank you, Katie. I appreciate your condolences. My wife and I met with the police last night, and it clearly sounds like she just brought this on herself. She was very depressed recently. We had no idea that it was this bad. We're just stunned and trying to make sense of it. His eyes teared up a little. I'm so sorry, Mr. Kane. We're all really sad, too. Thanks, Katie. Hey, can I just talk to you for a minute? He gestured at a space by the steps to the front door, just 10 yards away. Katie looked nervous at first, but then she nodded and began walking with him, her friends waiting where they were, shooting non-discreet glances far too often. So, I know you were Diane's friend, and she had one really beautiful piece of jewelry that my wife and I want you to have. He withdrew a plastic box from his coat pocket with the remains of some white tape on the lid and opened it. Inside, there was a large black diamond pendant on a gold chain. Kevin carefully shook out the chain first into his leather-gloved palm and then lifted the brilliantly cut stone from the container and held it up for her to see. Her eyes went wide. May I put it on you? I'd like to see you wearing it. It will remind me of Diane. She agreed, and Kevin draped it around her neck, making sure that the stone slid down her throat and onto her upper chest before he clasped it shut. Wow, thank you so much, Mr. Kane. I love it. You deserve it, Katie. Merry Christmas. Make sure to let all your friends check it out too, the captives. I have been a prisoner in this camp for more than 1 year. Many of us have died, mostly at the hands of our captors, but some from disease and trauma. Somehow I have survived, but it hasn't been easy. They beat us mercilessly today with leather straps. At least 4 men surrounded us and whipped us. They yelled at us, "Move, you stinking beasts!" They made us run into a wooden structure, then locked us in. I was afraid they would light the structure on fire with us locked inside. But whipping is not the worst. One of the men used a red-hot iron on one of us. I will never forget the screams of agony from that poor chap. It left him with horrible burns. He died soon after. I would estimate there are about 100 of us in this part of the camp. There is a big turnover, with new inmates showing up daily. About every 5 days, about 10 inmates disappear, and 10 new ones are brought in. We are given very simple food to eat, usually either a slurry of corn or a bucket of fetid mush. The captors often walk back and forth laughing at us as we try to eat. Most of the time we have to squeeze our heads through the bars on our cells in order to get to the food. The beatings and torture are bad, but there is something worse. Several female inmates came into the camp pregnant. When they gave birth, the men in charge immediately took the little one away, not even giving the mother a chance to see or bond with it. I can't think of anything more cruel. A few days ago, they came into our barracks and grabbed 4 unfortunate inmates. They used handheld electrified clubs and drove these 4 chaps out and into a separate building. We heard them screaming, but soon after that, there were 4 loud thuds, and then there was silence. One of our informants claims he witnessed the goings-on in there. He said he saw our compatriots hanging upside down by their legs, with their throats slit from one ear to the other. When word of this spread through the camp, there was a palpable wave of horror and panic. Detailing all the brutality and torture we have experienced seems like wasted energy. No one listens to us. There doesn't seem to be any end to this existence or hope for the future. Many of the inmates show signs of depression and severe anxiety. One inmate had been very quiet, but suddenly threw himself against the electrified fence, dying right there. The captors left him standing in his death, leaning against the fence with the full current flowing through his body, his legs twitching and spasming. We suspected that leaving him there was a message to us, not to disobey or try to escape, or that same type of destiny awaited us. Yesterday morning, a very important man visited the camp. We knew he was important because of the way he was dressed. Most of the workers in the camp wear casual clothes or military-style tactical outfits. This fellow was decked out in a three-piece suit and had a leather overcoat slung loosely about his shoulders. He carried some type of cane or stick. A rumor spread quietly amongst the gathered that this man might be the one they call the Angel of Death. He had us line up for inspection. Any inmates not accurately in line met with an electrified club, ensuring obedience. While we were at attention, he strolled up and down the row, pointing his cane at a few of the inmates he favored. His assistant wrote down the chosen inmate's number, and once he left, those selected were taken away and led into the back of a large truck, never to be seen again. I sometimes stand quietly outside the barracks, and I can see life way off in the distance. There is a park not far from here. One can see people walking their dogs, picnicking or bicycling happily. I can even hear the laughter of children as they run through the park with their parents chasing after them. How beautiful, I think, would it be to stroll in a park, saunter down to a babbling brook up in the hills, or eat peacefully without the fear of violence. I know it's just a matter of a brief time until my life comes to an end. I've lived this nightmare existence longer than I expected. When I first arrived, other inmates told me I probably wouldn't last a month. But I have seen many come and go, to a fate unknown. It would be all too easy to give up all hope. But when all seems lost, one still has the right to dream. That is something they can never take away from us. My dream is to live long enough to see an end to this incarceration and torture, and perhaps even get home to my family, if they still exist. There doesn't seem to be any hope of escape. The camp is too cleverly constructed for that. In fact, in some inmates, there seems to be almost a sense of resignation and acceptance of their tragic existence. I believe they call that Stockholm Syndrome. Generally, our captors do not engage us in conversation or ask us anything. They usually just walk by as if we don't exist. When we move, they don't seem to understand what we are saying. I suspect they would at least try to communicate with us if we were human beings rather than cows. But today, uncharacteristically, one of my captors stopped at my cage to chat with me. He was one of the youngest of the men and sounded sensitive and caring, as strange as that may seem. But what he said really confused me. He mentioned that he doesn't eat meat and that he doesn't agree with the use of animals for food. I really didn't understand what he meant by that. After all, what is meat? Don't open the door. Did you really think you'd get away with this? I don't know what you're talking about. Of course you do. I saw you. I saw everything. What the hell are you talking about? I didn't do anything. Please don't play dumb. You know exactly what I'm talking about. The bag, the key, and that. Wait. You followed me? Followed you? No. I stumbled upon you. I didn't even know you were there until I saw you go inside. Inside where? Don't do this, please. Don't pretend you've forgotten. I honestly don't know what you're talking about. The basement, Marco. That damn basement. Why? What are you hiding down there? You're insane. You're spying on me and then making up stories. What was in the bag? What? The bag, Marco. What was in it? That's none of your business. That's not an answer. What was in the bag? Nothing that concerns you. You've already said that, but it's not true, is it? Because if it was nothing, why would you hide the bag in the basement? Stop this. I won't stop. Not until you tell me the truth. I told you. It's none of your business. If you don't want it to be my business, why won't you just tell me? Anything, Marco. Give me a reason to believe you. You don't have to believe me. Marco, please. What did you do? Nothing. Don't make me go down there. Don't what? Don't go down there. Why? What will you do if I go? Nothing. Just don't. Tell me what you're hiding. I'm not hiding anything. Don't lie to me. Your voice. I can hear it trembling. You know what? I'm going down there. No, don't. Stop. Elena, wait. Why should I stop, Marco? What will happen if I keep going? Please don't. Just stay here. I won't. I'm tired of your secrecy. I'm opening the door. Yelena, I'm telling you, don't touch that door. Why not? Because you won't be able to unsee what you see. What is that supposed to mean? What did you do, Marco? Nothing. It's not my fault. I didn't want this to happen. What didn't you want to happen? Whatever it is, it's too late to turn back now. I'm opening the door. Yelena, I'm begging you. Leave it closed. Begging me? You? After all the things you're hiding from me? This is your last chance, Marco. Tell me the truth, or I'm opening it. I can't tell you, but you wouldn't understand. What wouldn't I understand? That you did something? That you're hiding something terrible? You think I won't understand because I'm stupid? No, that's not it. It's just, please, don't open the door. That's all I'm asking. I'm opening it. Yelena, don't. What is this? Marco, what is this? I told you not to open it. Is this blood on the floor? Marco, this can't be real. Yelena, let's just get out of here. You don't have to look. Wait. This is the bag. Marco, what's inside? What's in this bag? Don't open it. Haven't you already learned that nothing will stop me? I'm opening it. Yelena, please, don't. Oh my God, Marco. This is... I know what it is. Whose arm is this, Marco? What the hell is going on here? It's not what you think. Then what is it? Please, explain, because I see a severed arm in a bag, and I see blood. Explain this exclamation mark. I didn't kill her. Killed? Marco, you're insane. What murder? Severed arms don't fall from the sky. Who is this? I don't know her name. You don't know her name? Marco, are you out of your mind? It was a mistake. I didn't mean for it to happen. What didn't you mean to happen? What are you talking about? For her to die? Who to die? What happened, Marco? Tell me now, or I'm calling the police. No, you can't call the police. Why? Why not? This is murder, Marco. Or at least it looks like it. Tell me the truth. Yelena, I tried to save her. Save her? From what? From them. What others? Don't twist your words. Who are they? You won't believe me. Try me. Because right now, I think you're a dangerous lunatic who kills people. I didn't kill anyone. Whose arm is this, Marco? I told you I don't know her name, but I know it's not just hers. What does that mean? Not just hers. There are more. More of what? More people? More arms? What are you talking about? Them. They're here. They? Marco, stop with the riddles. Explain! Exclamation mark. I won't say anything. Not here. Not in front of them. In front of who? We're alone. We're not alone, Yelena. We're never alone. Marco, who are they? Stop with the riddles and tell me what's going on. I can't tell you. If you find out, they'll find out. Who will find out? What are you talking about? Do you even realize how insane you sound? Insane? Jelena, if you knew what I know, you'd never sleep again. Stop it. I don't believe in your fantasies. This is the real world, Marco. This is blood. This is an arm. This is... Wait, what's this on the floor? This looks like a symbol. Marco, what is this? Don't look at it. Don't look at it? I've already seen it, Marco. It looks like a pentagram or something. Are you in a cult? Is this some kind of sickness? Are you a murderer? I'm not a murderer. Stop accusing me of things you don't understand. Then explain. Stop being silent and explain. Because I can't take this anymore. Fine. Fine. You want the truth? I'll tell you. But you won't like it. Try me. Anything is better than this uncertainty. They're not human. What? They're not human. What you see, what you feel, those aren't human beings. They're something else. Marco, do you even hear how crazy that sounds? No wonder you're paranoid. You're talking about what? Demons? Monsters? Stop it. I'm not crazy. Yelena, this isn't the first time this has happened. They've been here for years, decades, maybe even centuries. And no one knows until it's too late. What the hell are you talking about? Their rules are clear. You don't speak of them. You don't touch their victims. And if you break the rules, you're next. Marco, you're talking about this as if it's real. But this is just, I don't know, some kind of paranoid story. There is no they. These are your hallucinations. Does this look like a hallucination, Yelena? Look at the blood on the floor. Look at the arm. Do you really think I'd make all of this up? But that doesn't prove they're demons or whatever you're claiming. This could be, I don't know, the mafia, a cult, someone real. I wish it was, but it's not. It's not something you can understand until you see them. I see blood, Marco. I see the symbol on the floor. But none of that proves your story. This is madness. Pure madness. Jelena, just listen to me. If you want to get out of here alive, you need to stop digging deeper. They already know you're here. Marco, this is too much. I'm calling the police. I can't do this alone. You can't call the police. Yelena, they can't help. Why? Why not? Because the police have already tried, and there isn't a single officer who's walked out of this basement alive. Stop it. Listen to yourself, Marco. This is... Shh. Jelena, quiet. What? Do you hear that? I don't hear anything. Marco, stop it. Quiet, Yelena. They're coming. Who's coming? Stop it. Stop playing games. Yelena, please, don't breathe too loudly. Just stay still. What? What is that sound? Marco. What is it? I told you not to open the door. Now you've woken them. Who are they, Marco? What is that? What are those lights? Those eyes? I told you. Marco, what's happening? It's too late, Yelena. It's too late. No, Marco, don't do this. Don't leave me here. I'm sorry. You have to face this alone. No, don't. Marco, don't leave. Marco. Yelena, listen to me. Listen carefully. Stay still. Don't move. If you stay still and don't make a sound, maybe they won't see you. What? What won't see me? Marco, what are these creatures? These eyes? These hands? What the hell am I looking at? Don't look at them. Don't look into their eyes. But they're everywhere. What do I do? How do I not look? Yelena, just close your eyes. Breathe deeply. They can sense fear. The more you're afraid, the closer they'll come. How can I not be afraid? Marco, what are these things? I told you, they're not human. They're things. Even I don't know exactly what they are. I just know they're not from this world. You're insane. You're completely insane. This isn't real. This is a dream. It has to be a dream. Jelena, this isn't a dream. If it were, you wouldn't feel the cold. You wouldn't feel their breath on your neck. What? What did you just say? On my neck. Don't turn around. Ah, Marco! They're here. I see them. Don't look into their eyes, Jelena. I told you. Close your eyes. I can't. There are too many of them. They're staring at me. Jelena, calm down. Breathe. You have to breathe. Marco, they're getting closer. Marco, please help me. I can't. They've already seen you. What? What does that mean? Marco, tell me what that means. It means it's over. There's nothing I can do. It's too late. No, don't say that. There has to be a way. There's a way out, right? The only way was to never wake them. Please, I can't do this. Marco, they're touching me. Marco, don't scream. Don't give them a reason. I can't take it anymore. Ah! Jelena. No exclamation mark. Marco, they're pulling me. Marco, help me. Help me. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Don't leave me. Don't. Jelena, forgive me. No, Marco. Ah, I told you not to open the door. Delta 928, Captain David Starnes. Morning, Pete. How are you doing today? Co-pilot, Peter Markley. Oh, I'm good. Just glad I made it on time. Traffic was a bitch this morning. How are you, Captain? Starnes. Feeling just fine. Once I fly this turn, I have the next 3 days off, and me and Jenny are going out to Sedona to play some golf and enjoy the spa at the Hilton. Markley. Sounds nice. I'm on for the next 4 days at least. Starnes. Hey, do me a favor. I have to call home real quick. Ask Marcy to bring up some coffee for us. and then we can start with the pre-flight routine. We're scheduled to be nose up in about 20. Markley. Will do, Captain. Pause. Hey, Marcy, can you please bring up 2 cups of coffee? Muffled response. Thanks. Get one for yourself, too. It's on me. Starnes. Hey, Jenny. I just wanted to let you know that I didn't have time to get the laundry into the dryer. The washer was still running when I had to leave. Just wanted to let you know. I'll call you when we touch down in Chicago. Love you. Markley. Well, ain't that sweet. Senior Flight Attendant Marcy Nichols. Here you are, gentlemen. Can I get you anything else? Starnes. Thanks. I'm good. Markley. Same here. Thanks, Marcy. How are we looking back there? Nichols. We're almost ready. Just a few more passengers getting settled. We should be able to do the final cabin walkthrough in the next 5 to 10 minutes. Markley. Sounds good. We'll be right here waiting for your thumbs up. Nichols. Be back soon. Dead air for 32 seconds, with the exception of a brief cough. Starnes. All right, let's check it down. Auxiliary fuel pump. Markley. Off. Starnes. Flight controls. Markley. Free and correct. Starnes. Instruments and radios. Markley. Checked and set. Starnes. Landing gear position lighting. Markley. Checked. Markley. Altimeter. Starnes. Set. Markley. Directional gyro. Starnes. Set. Markley. Fuel gauges. Starnes. Checked. Markley. Trim. Markley. Set. Starnes. Magnetos. Markley. Checked. Starnes. Engine idle. Markley. Checked. Starnes. Flaps. Markley. In position. Starnes. Seat belts. Shoulder harnesses. Markley. Fastened. Starnes. Parking brake. Markley. Off. Starnes. All right. We are good to go. 24 seconds of dead air. Markley. You heard the latest on Kendall? Starnes. What a mess. It wasn't just alcohol, you know. He tested positive for cocaine too, and they found some in his suitcase. Markley. I heard his wife left him after Delta shit-canned him. What the hell happened to that guy? Starnes. Who can say? Kendall was a solid pilot and a good enough guy most of the time, but he definitely has a short fuse, and he likes to drink. I saw him deck a guy in the bar at the Sheraton in Atlanta one night over something that was really nothing at all. I kept my distance from him after that. I wasn't really too surprised when everything blew up that day, to be honest. Seems like he's just in a tailspin now. He was in jail until just a couple of days ago. Out on bail now, I heard. Markley. Yeah. I feel bad, though. He seemed like a decent guy to me, but I couldn't let him take off that morning. He literally stumbled into the cockpit reeking of booze, slurred speech. He fell asleep about a minute after he took his seat. Miranda was the senior flight crew member that day, and she noticed it right away. Starnes, you did the right thing. I wouldn't give it a second thought. Markley. Yeah, I know. I just feel bad for the guy. Starnes. Don't? Not your problem. How are we looking back there? Markley. Marcy's walking this way now. They look like they're all settled in. Nichols. Okay, guys, we are all set. Markley. Thanks, Marcy. Ready for takeoff. Starnes over cabin intercom. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard Delta Airlines Flight 928 from Phoenix to Chicago O'Hare. Our flight time today should be 3 hours and 22 minutes. The weather looks good the whole way, so it should be a smooth flight, but we will notify you if we expect any turbulence. Your flight crew members will be coming through the cabin with an assortment of snacks and beverages once we level off. We'd like to thank you for flying Delta Airlines. We are third for takeoff, and we should be in the air shortly. Sound of jet thrusters increasing and decreasing for next 6 minutes and 14 seconds. Muffled dialogue between pilot and co-pilot. PHX Tower. Air Traffic Controller, Mike Reynolds. Over radio. Delta 928. You are clear for takeoff. Sound of increased volume of jet thrust for next 12 minutes and 35 seconds. Starnes. All right. We are up and running. Activating autopilot. Dead air for next 2 minutes and 43 seconds. Reynolds, over radio. Delta 928. Please adjust your altitude to 32,500 feet. Markley, copy. Descending to 32,500 feet. Dead air for next 2 minutes and 32 seconds. Markley. How's that course at the Sedona Hilton? I've played a few of those courses out there, but not that one. Starnes. Ah, you know. They're all kind of the same. Pretty wide open. The greens are usually pretty fast though, so that can hurt you. It's nice though. Well maintained. Markley. I gotta get out there next time. Haven't played much this year. I'm scared to find out where my handicap really is right now. At least an 18. Starnes, chuckling. I brought in a 78 with 4 birdies at Sun Valley last week. Markley. Nice shooting. You gotta teach me how to keep it in the fairway. My drives are all over the place, I swear. Dead air for next 54 seconds. Starnes. This is my 3rd turn in the last 24 hours. All right with you, if I catch a little shut-eye for a while? Markley. No problem, Captain. I'll rouse you back up if necessary. Starnes. Thanks, Pete. Dead air for next 54 minutes and 22 seconds. Sound of knocking on cabin door. Sound of door opening. Nichols. Gasping and speaking quietly. I'm so sorry. He made me open the door. He has a knife. Former Delta Airlines pilot, Marcus Kendall. Enough. You've done your part. Just give me all those little whiskey bottles and get back there and keep everything cool. If I hear one sound near that cabin door, everyone is going to regret it quickly. Remember, if I kill these two, then I'm the only one left to land this plane. Overlapped with sounds of motion, as well as inaudible comments from Starnes and Markley, followed by the closing of the cockpit door. Starnes. Marcus. What the fuck? What is this? Kendall. This has nothing to do with you, Dave. I'm here to see Pete. Here. Take this, though. Sounds of a struggle followed by painful gasps, cries, and heavy breathing for next 18 seconds from Starnes. Shouting from Markley. Markley. Jesus, Kendall. What the hell are you doing? Stop. Kendall. You better get back into that co-pilot seat before you get hurt, Pete. I think we both know how a fight between me and you would end, even if I didn't have this knife. And Delta suspended the federal flight deck program 3 months ago after that incident in Salt Lake City, so I know you don't have a gun in this cockpit. Besides, I'm here to speak with you. This doesn't involve Dave. He was an asshole anyway. I need this seat. Sounds of seatbelt unclicking, followed by a thud. Kendall. Shit. Look at all the blood in this seat. Give me your jacket. I gotta wipe this up a little. Markley. How did you even get on this flight? How did you get a knife on board? Kendall. I worked for this airline for 17 years, Pete. You don't think I know how to get around? You don't think I know some people who will help me out if I hand them 500 cash? Baggage handlers make shit for pay, you know? It's a pretty thankless job. Those guys aren't exactly rocket scientists. Dead air for next 16 seconds. Markley. Christ, Marcus. What are you doing? Kendall, I came to talk to you, Pete, about what you did, and don't even think about triggering that handset. God help me. If I hear a 7,500 squawk come out of your mouth, I'm gonna cut off your right thumb. Don't test me. Look at Dave down there. You think I'm fucking around? Markley. I won't. I swear I won't. Kendall. Good. This won't take long here. Looks like we will be over Denver in just a few minutes. Markley. Why Denver? Are you gonna land us at DIA? Kendall. Not exactly, but close. We'll get to that. First, let me ask you something. You are a licensed and qualified pilot with plenty of experience flying the Boeing 737, yes? Markley. Yeah, sure. Not as much as you, but yeah. Kendall. So, on that morning when you called security to come into the cockpit to wake me up and drag me away, leading to me ending up in jail and losing my job along with my wife and 2 kids, you could have just covered for me, right? Markley. Hey, you know the airline's policies. Plus, the flight crew already knew you were in no condition to fly. If they call security before I do, then I'm in it with you. Kendall. Yeah, so you just decided to ruin my life instead of taking that chance. That's what I thought. You are a little pussy, Pete. Do you know that? I bet you've been a little pussy for your whole life. Markley. Marcus, we're losing altitude fast. We are well below 20,000 feet, and we are way off our flight path. Dead air for next 22 seconds. Automated voice from instrument panel. Warning. Altitude. Warning. Altitude. 15,000 feet. Markley. Marcus, we need to pull up right away. Dead air for next 14 seconds. Kendall. You know what, Pete? I don't really care what you have to say. I just wanted to be here with you for the end. I was originally planning to fly us straight into one of those high sheer cliffs up in the Rockies, but then I came up with a better plan. Automated voice from instrument panel. Warning. Altitude. Warning. Altitude. 12,000 feet. DIA Tower, Air Traffic Controller. Miles Cordry, Delta 928. We are showing you coming towards downtown Denver and descending below 10,000 feet. Are you in distress? Do you need us to clear a runway for you at DIA? Kendall, kill that speaker. Automated voice from instrument panel. Warning. Altitude. Warning. Altitude. 8,000 feet. Kendall, I know you can't kill that one. Anyway, rather than just pushing us into a mountain face, I decided it would be more fun to do this. Sound of increased wind shear, muffled screaming coming from the cabin. Automated voice from instrument panel. Warning! Altitude! Warning! Altitude! 6,000 feet. Markley. Jesus, Kendall. Please pull up on that stick. We are almost nose down, and we won't be able to pull out of this dive if you don't do it now. Please, don't do this. Automated voice from instrument panel. Warning. Altitude. Warning. Altitude. 5,000 feet. Kendall. You see that down there, Pete? You see that? I timed it pretty damn good, didn't I? That's downtown Denver right there. I don't know if I should target one of those tall buildings or try to put us down on a busy street. I guess I'll just have to play it as a last-minute decision. You got a preference? Markley. Dear God, Marcus. No. Automated voice from instrument panel. Warning. Altitude. Warning. Altitude. 3,000 feet. Kendall. I was considering it, and I just thought it would be better to put us down here rather than up there in the mountains. This way, there will be some good collateral damage and lots of great fiery video reels for the news. People love watching other people die in horrific ways when they watch the news, you know. That's basically what they tune in for, mostly, Pete. Let's give the people what they want today. Markley, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee, and blessed art. Automated voice from instrument panel. Warning. Altitude. Warning. Altitude. 2,000 feet. Kendall, over cabin intercom. People, you might want to buckle up and return your seats to the upright position. We will be making an unscheduled landing in downtown Denver in about 30 seconds, and I think it's going to be a rough one. Markley. And blessed? Blessed art thou among, gasp, women, and blessed is the fruit of. Automated voice from instrument panel. Warning. Altitude. Warning. Altitude. 1,000 feet. Kendall. Open your eyes, Pete. Open your eyes. You don't want to miss this. Look at all those cars and people down there. We are going to be front page news. Here we go. Here we go, Pete. Count it down with me. Come on now. 3, 2, 1. Don't open the door. Did you really think you'd get away with this? I don't know what you're talking about. Of course you do. I saw you. I saw everything. What the hell are you talking about? I didn't do anything. Please, don't play dumb. You know exactly what I'm talking about. The bag, the key, and that... Wait. You followed me? Followed you? No, I stumbled upon you. I didn't even know you were there until I saw you go inside. Inside where? Don't do this, please. Don't pretend you've forgotten. I honestly don't know what you're talking about. The basement, Marco, that damn basement. Why? What are you hiding down there? You're insane. You're spying on me and then making up stories. What was in the bag? What? The bag, Marco. What was in it? That's none of your business. That's not an answer. What was in the bag? Nothing that concerns you. You've already said that, but it's not true, is it? Because if it was nothing, why would you hide the bag in the basement? Stop this. I won't stop. Not until you tell me the truth. I told you? It's none of your business. If you don't want it to be my business, why won't you just tell me? Anything, Marco. Give me a reason to believe you. You don't have to believe me. Marco, please. What did you do? Nothing. Don't make me go down there. Don't. Don't what? Don't go down there. Why? What will you do if I go? Nothing. Just don't. Tell me what you're hiding. I'm not hiding anything. Don't lie to me. Your voice, I can hear it trembling. You know what? I'm going down there. No, don't. Stop. Yelena, wait. Why should I stop, Marco? What will happen if I keep going? Please don't. Just stay here. I won't. I'm tired of your secrecy. I'm opening the door. Yelena, I'm telling you, don't touch that door. Why not? Because you won't be able to unsee what you see. What is that supposed to mean? What did you do, Marco? Nothing. It's not my fault. I didn't want this to happen. What didn't you want to happen? Whatever it is, it's too late to turn back now. I'm opening the door. Yelena, I'm begging you. Leave it closed. Begging me? You? After all the things you're hiding from me? This is your last chance, Marco. Tell me the truth, or I'm opening it. I can't tell you, but you wouldn't understand. What wouldn't I understand? That you did something? That you're hiding something terrible? You think I won't understand because I'm stupid? No, that's not it. It's just, please, don't open the door. That's all I'm asking. I'm opening it. Yelena, don't. What is this? Marco, what is this? I told you not to open it. Is this blood? On the floor? Marco, this can't be real. Jelena, let's just get out of here. You don't have to look. Wait, this is the bag. Marco, what's inside? What's in this bag? Don't open it. Haven't you already learned that nothing will stop me? I'm opening it. Yelena, please, don't. Oh my God, Marco, this is... I know what it is. Whose arm is this, Marco? What the hell is going on here? It's not what you think. Then what is it? Please explain, because I see a severed arm in a bag, and I see blood. Explain this exclamation mark. I didn't kill her. Killed? Marco, you're insane. What murder? Severed arms don't fall from the sky. Who is this? I don't know her name. You don't know her name? Marco, are you out of your mind? It was a mistake. I didn't mean for it to happen. What didn't you mean to happen? What are you talking about? For her to die? Who to die? What happened, Marco? Tell me now, or I'm calling the police. No, you can't call the police. Why? Why not? This is murder, Marco. Or at least it looks like it. Tell me the truth. Yelena, I tried to save her. Save her? From what? From them. What others? Don't twist your words. Who are they? You won't believe me. Try me. Because right now, I think you're a dangerous lunatic who kills people. I didn't kill anyone. Whose arm is this, Marco? I told you I don't know her name. But I know it's not just hers. What does that mean? Not just hers. There are more. More of what? More people? More arms? What are you talking about? Them. They're here. They! Marco, stop with the riddles. Explain exclamation mark. I won't say anything. Not here. Not in front of them. In front of who? We're alone. We're not alone, Yelena. We're never alone. Marco, who are they? Stop with the riddles and tell me what's going on. I can't tell you. If you find out, they'll find out. Who will find out? What are you talking about? Do you even realize how insane you sound? Insane? Jelena, if you knew what I know, you'd never sleep again. Stop it. I don't believe in your fantasies. This is the real world, Marco. This is blood. This is an arm. This is... Wait, what's this on the floor? This looks like a symbol. Marco, what is this? Don't look at it. Don't look at it. I've already seen it, Marco. It looks like a pentagram or something. Are you in a cult? Is this some kind of sickness? Are you a murderer? I'm not a murderer. Stop accusing me of things you don't understand. Then explain. Stop being silent and explain. Because I can't take this anymore. Fine. You want the truth? I'll tell you. But you won't like it. Try me. Anything is better than this uncertainty. They're not human. What? They're not human. What you see, what you feel, those aren't human beings. They're something else. Marco, do you even hear how crazy that sounds? No wonder you're paranoid. You're talking about what? Demons? Monsters? Stop it. I'm not crazy. Yelena, this isn't the first time this has happened. They've been here for years, decades, maybe even centuries, and no one knows until it's too late. What the hell are you talking about? Their rules are clear. You don't speak of them. You don't touch their victims. And if you break the rules, you're next. Marco, you're talking about this as if it's real, but this is just, I don't know, some kind of paranoid story. There is no they. These are your hallucinations. Does this look like a hallucination, Yelena? Look at the blood on the floor. Look at the arm. Do you really think I'd make all of this up? But that doesn't prove they're demons or whatever you're claiming. This could be, I don't know, the mafia, a cult, someone real. I wish it was, but it's not. It's not something you can understand until you see them. I see blood, Marco. I see the symbol on the floor. But none of that proves your story. This is madness. Pure madness. Yelena, just listen to me. If you want to get out of here alive, you need to stop digging deeper. They already know you're here. Marco, this is too much. I'm calling the police. I can't do this alone. You can't call the police. Yelena, they can't help. Why? Why not? Because the police have already tried, and there isn't a single officer who's walked out of this basement alive. Stop it. Listen to yourself, Marco. This is... Shh. Yelena, quiet. What? Do you hear that? I don't hear anything. Marco, stop it. Quiet, Yelena. They're coming. Who's coming? Stop it. Stop playing games. Yelena, please, don't breathe too loudly. Just stay still. What? What is that sound? Marco, what is it? I told you not to open the door. Now you've woken them. Who are they, Marco? What is that? What are those lights? Those eyes? I told you. Marco, what's happening? It's too late, Yelena. It's too late. No, Marco, don't do this. Don't leave me here. I'm sorry. You have to face this alone. No, don't. Marco, don't leave. Marco. Marco. Yelena, listen to me. Listen carefully. Stay still. Don't move. If you stay still and don't make a sound, maybe they won't see you. What? What won't see me? Marco, what are these? These creatures? These eyes? These hands? What the hell am I looking at? Don't look at them. Don't look into their eyes. But they're everywhere. What do I do? How do I not look? Yelena, just close your eyes. Breathe deeply. They can sense fear. The more you're afraid, the closer they'll come. How can I not be afraid? Marco, What are these things? I told you. They're not human. They're things. Even I don't know exactly what they are. I just know they're not from this world. You're insane. You're completely insane. This isn't real. This is a dream. It has to be a dream. Jelena, this isn't a dream. If it were, you wouldn't feel the cold. You wouldn't feel their breath on your neck. What? What did you just say? On my neck. Don't turn around. Ah! Marco, they're here. I see them. Don't look into their eyes, Jelena. I told you, close your eyes. I can't. There are too many of them. They're staring at me. Jelena, calm down. Breathe. You have to breathe. Marco, they're getting closer. Marco, please, help me. I can't. They've already seen you. What? What does that mean? Marco, tell me what that means. It means it's over. There's nothing I can do. It's too late. No, don't say that. There has to be a way. There's a way out, right? The only way was to never wake them. Please, I can't do this. Marco, they're touching me. Marco, don't scream. Don't give them a reason. I can't. I can't take it anymore. Ah! Jelena, no exclamation mark. Marco, they're pulling me. Marco, help me. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Don't leave me. Don't. Jelena, forgive me. No, Marco. Ah! I told you not to open the door. Insatiable, Part 2. Her voice, trembling, cut through the silence. Daddy? The words scraped against something deep inside me, something buried under the roar of the hunger. My body moved before I could think, lurching forward, one decayed hand reaching. Her face twisted in horror as she stumbled back, pressing herself against the wall. No, Daddy, stop. Stop. Please, God, stop. But I couldn't. The hunger tore through me, relentless, demanding. Her heartbeat echoed in my ears, a steady drum calling me forward. I reached for her, my jagged breath wheezing like rusted hinges. Her tears glistened in the dim light, her small hands trembling as she held them up, useless shields against what I was about to do. I was almost on her when the memory hit, sharp and blinding. Her tiny hand in mine, sticky with melted ice cream, her laughter bubbling up as she looked at me, wide-eyed with trust. I love you, Daddy. The memory burned, more painful than the hunger. I stopped mid-lunge, my clawed hand hanging inches from her face. Get away from her! Emily's voice rang out, fierce and trembling. She barreled into me with all her strength, the impact jarring but barely enough to move me. A flash of silver caught the weak light. She had a knife. Emily. My voice was a wet croak, unrecognizable. She slashed at me, the blade tearing into the rotted flesh of my shoulder. I didn't feel it. She planted herself between Grace and me, her chest heaving, her eyes locked on mine. You won't touch her, she spat, the fear in her voice barely hidden under the force of her words. Emily shouted without turning, her voice ragged. Go, Grace! Don't look back! Grace hesitated, her tiny figure trembling, then bolted down the stairs. Run, Grace. Run far away from me, baby. The sound of Grace's retreating footsteps faded, leaving only Emily and me in the suffocating silence. She squared her shoulders, her trembling hand gripping the knife like it could keep the darkness at bay. The hallway narrowed as Emily stepped forward, knife trembling in her hand. The dim light from the shattered bulb above flickered across her face, her jaw tight, her eyes locked on mine. "Stay back," she said, her voice steady, even as the blade shook. "Stop! Stop! Please, God, stop me. This is my love. This is my life." It wouldn't let me stop. The hunger surged like a wave, driving me forward. My rotting legs dragged against the floor, my fingers twitching as they reached for her. I screamed at my body to stop, but it kept going. "Stop. Please, for God's sake, stop." But the hunger roared. It was a force, pulling my body like strings on a marionette. Emily lunged forward, slashing the knife, the blade slicing into my forearm. A wet sound, something that used to be flesh tearing open, oozing dark, thick rot. I didn't feel it. Her eyes widened for a fraction of a second. She'd been expecting pain, a reaction, but there was nothing. "David, listen to me." Emily's voice broke as she stabbed again, tears streaking her face. "You're in there. I know you are. You love us. You love Grace." But her words barely reached through the roaring hunger, and my hands moved without me, reaching for her. Her expression faltered, the resolve cracking just slightly, but she gripped the knife tighter. She stepped back, placing herself fully between me and stairs. I lunged. The knife slashed again, this time catching my ribs. I felt the wet scrape of the blade against bone, the sound sharper than the pain I couldn't feel. She screamed for Grace again, her voice raw and desperate. "Run, baby, run!" Grace's sobs echoed from the bottom of the staircase, her small figure darting out of sight. I lunged, my decayed fingers closing around Emily, seizing her in a moment when her eyes flicked toward Grace. A heartbeat of distraction was all the hunger needed to strike. Emily screamed, her voice cracking into something raw and animalistic. Her fists pounded against my chest, each blow weaker than the last. Her nails raked my skin, peeling away rotted flesh, exposing yellowed bone. She twisted, fought, but I held her like a vice. Her body was warm, so warm, it burned against the rot of my hands. Her eyes locked on mine, wide and terrified. For half a heartbeat, I thought I could stop. Then the hunger surged again, tearing through me. My body moved before I could think. My teeth sank into her neck, tearing through skin and muscle with a sickening wet snap. Hot blood surged into my mouth, metallic and thick, spilling down my throat in waves. The taste was fire and ecstasy, searing through what little humanity was left in me, and I hated how good it felt. Emily's scream turned into a gurgle, her hands clawing at my face, pushing weakly as I tore deeper. Stop. 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 But I couldn't. The hunger was everything. Her body jerked once, then stilled. Her blood ran warm and steady over my hands, pooling at my feet. Her lips moved, forming words I couldn't hear, couldn't understand. Her eyes found mine, wide and glassy, but there was something else there, a flicker of recognition, a memory, love, maybe, or disgust. Then it was gone. The light in her eyes snuffed out, leaving only the dull, empty stare of the dead. I let her fall, her body crumpling to the floor like something broken, discarded. My hands shook, slick with her blood, her warmth already fading. I wanted to scream, to claw at myself, to rip this hunger out of me with my bare hands. But there was nothing left. Nothing but the hunger and her lifeless body at my feet. "Emily, tried to whisper, the word choking in my throat. Black ooze dripped from my mouth, pooling with her blood on the cold, unforgiving floor, the hunger inside me roaring in triumph. No! What have I done? Then I heard it, a small, sharp gasp. Grace. I turned, my body sluggish. She stood at the base of the stairs, her small hand clutching the railing. Her eyes were wide, red from crying, her face pale. "Daddy?" she whispered. Her voice cracked something inside me that should have died with Emily. I tried to speak, to tell her I was sorry. But when I opened my mouth, all that came out was a moan, wet and broken. Black ooze dripped from my chin, pooling at my feet. Grace screamed, her voice breaking into choking sobs. "Mommy! No, Mommy, please!" She stumbled back, gripping the railing as if it could hold her world together. My chest, if I still had one, felt like it was caving in, but the hunger didn't care. It surged again, pulling me toward her. "Graksh," I croaked, the word barely intelligible, but she heard it, and she turned and ran, her small figure disappearing into the dark. I stumbled forward, my body following her scent, even as my mind begged for the darkness to take me. The hunger stirred again, twisting inside me, demanding I follow. I looked down at Emily. Her blood was still warm on my hands, her lifeless body crumpled and broken at my feet. I am losing everything. The hunger didn't care. It roared, pulling me to my feet, dragging me after Grace. "Number, please. Let her go." But the hunger will never let go. The street stretched out before me, empty and cold. My feet drag against the pavement, leaving wet, dark smears behind. The hunger had quieted, but it wasn't gone. It never was. It coiled beneath my skin, waiting for the next surge. I stumbled past darkened houses, their windows like hollow eyes. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked, sharp and frantic. I froze, listening, but the sound faded into the hum of distant traffic. What am I doing? Emily's face swam before me, frozen in that final, lifeless stare. Her blood still clung to my hands, thick and sticky. My body ached, not from the fight, but from something deeper, a guilt so heavy it made every step feel like wading through tar. Then a flash. Sterile white walls, a row of test tubes, their labels blurred and meaningless, a shattered vial, the liquid spreading across my face and hands like blood. I stumbled, my shoulder hitting a street lamp. The cold metal bit into my decayed skin, snapping me back to the present. The hunger stirred, hissing in my ears, but the memory clawed its way back, stronger now. We shouldn't push this far. My own voice, frantic, echoed in my head. I could almost feel the heat of a lab, the hum of machinery. But the memory didn't stay. It bled, twisting into something else. Emily laughing, a steaming cup of coffee in her hand, her hair falling loose around her face. Grace on the living room floor, cradling her teddy bear, her smile lighting up the room. Stop, don't think about them. The hunger seized those memories, warping them. Emily's laughter turned into her scream. Grace's smile faded, replaced by wide, terrified eyes. I doubled over, gripping my knees. The hunger whispered, "Keep moving. She's still out there." I obeyed. The woods were silent except for the sound of my feet dragging through the underbrush. The world was muffled here, the thick canopy of trees blotting out the moonlight, the air heavy with damp earth and rot. My breath, or what passed for it, came in short, ragged bursts. The hunger had returned, gnawing at my insides like a rabid animal. Then I saw her. At first, it was just a shadow, something flickering between the trees. But as I stepped closer, the shape took form. Emily. Number. It can't be. She stood with her back to me, her head tilted at an odd angle. Her clothes hung in tatters where I had shredded them. Dark stains splattered across her blouse. Her arms hung stiffly at her sides, and her posture was too rigid, too dead. Emily? But voice cracked, low and growling. She turned. Her eyes were clouded, a milky gray that seemed to pierce straight through me. Her skin, once smooth and warm, sagged in loose patches, exposing butchered flesh. Her mouth hung open slightly, lips cracked and blackened. For a moment, I thought I was hallucinating. My mind had been slipping since the hunger took hold, twisting memories into cruel replicas of reality. But this wasn't a memory. She was here, standing in front of me. She wasn't human anymore. My hands trembled as I stepped closer. Her head tilted further, her movements jerky, like a puppet of tangled strings. Her gaze locked on mine, and something flickered in her expression, a shadow of recognition. The hunger in me stirred, hissing and coiling like a living thing. I could feel it inside her too, like a heat radiating from her decayed form. It linked us, bound us in a way that no words could. She took a step forward, her movements uneven, but deliberate. I didn't move. I couldn't. Her mouth opened, and a low, gurgling sound emerged. Half a growl, half a moan. She took another step, then stopped. We stood there, facing each other. Then the sound of footsteps broke the silence. A man appeared on the path, his flashlight cutting through the darkness. He was walking a dog, a large, lumbering thing that barked at the sight of us. The man froze, his eyes darting between me and Emily. The hunger surged, roaring in my ears. My body moved before I could think, lurching toward him. Emily moved too, a grotesque mirror of my movements. The man screamed as we collided with him, our hands tearing at his clothes, his flesh. His flashlight clattered to the ground, the beam illuminating the scene in harsh, stuttering flashes. I felt my teeth sink into his shoulder, the hot rush of blood filling my mouth. Beside me, Emily clawed at his chest, her fingers digging deep into his skin. The dog barked frantically, pulling at its leash, but the man's screams drowned out everything else. His warmth seeped into me, dulling the hunger for a brief, fleeting moment. I turned to Emily. Her face was smeared with blood, her eyes still clouded but alive with something primal. We fed together, tearing him apart piece by piece. His screams faded, replaced by the wet, sickening sounds of flesh being ripped from bone. When it was over, we stood there, our bodies slick with blood. The man's lifeless form crumpled between us. The dog had fled, its leash trailing behind it. Emily looked at me, her head tilting again. The recognition was still there, faint but undeniable. This wasn't love. It was something else, something twisted and monstrous. But in that moment, it felt like we were connected, bound by the hunger and the carnage we'd wrought together. I wanted to scream, to claw my way out of this nightmare. But all I could do was stare at her and wonder how much further I could fall. The first one appeared the next night. Emily and I had just finished. A man in a suit, stumbling from a bar, his tie loose around his neck. His screams were already fading. His body crumpled on the ground when the hunger in me finally dulled. I was wiping the blood from my face when I felt it. A shift in the air, subtle but undeniable. I turned, and there he was. He shouldn't have been moving. His chest was ripped open, his throat little more than a mangled red mess. But his head twitched, then turned toward us. His eyes were empty, the sockets ringed with blood, but something stared out of them. Emily tilted her head, mirroring his movement. A low sound came from her throat. The man stood, jerking upright as if pulled by invisible strings. My legs felt weak, shaking beneath the weight of what I was seeing. But then another appeared, and another. The woman from the gas station, the jogger by the park, faces I hadn't let myself remember, all shuffling forward, their limbs twisted. The sound they made, a low, gravely moan, layered and deep, wasn't noise. It was communication. And I realized the truth. They weren't individuals. They were connected, not to each other, but to the hunger, to me, to us. I looked at Emily, her blood-streaked face impassive, and I knew we were leading them, guiding them. Grace. The hunger stirred, roaring with purpose. I turned toward the dark horizon, where she was still running, still hiding. The horde moved with me, their jerking steps falling into rhythm. We stand at the edge of the hill, the town sprawled out below us like a patchwork of light and shadow. Street lamps flicker, faint and distant, their glow seeping through the trees. The hunger twists inside me, relentless, pulling me forward. Beside me, Emily twitches, her bloodied hand jerking at her side, her head tilting toward the lights. She growls low, her broken body still and yet coiled, ready. For a fleeting moment, something stirs, a memory, faint but sharp. Grace's laughter as she spun in the backyard, her hands outstretched to the sky. Emily leaning against the doorframe, smiling, her hair catching the sunlight. My family. But the hunger shreds it, devours it. I glance at Emily, her clouded eyes fixed on the town, her mouth twisted into something between a snarl and a grin. The bond between us is no longer love, it's need, endless, insatiable. The horde gathers behind us, their collective presence amplifying the pull. I feel their hunger like it's my own. Emily tilts her head toward them, growling in unison. There's no division between us now, just a single relentless instinct binding us together. The lights of the town seem closer, brighter. The scent of life hangs in the air, thick and intoxicating. The hunger whispers, louder now, surging with the weight of the others. The mantra swells in my mind, stronger than before. Grace, grace, grace. Then, music. It drifts up the hill, cutting through the cool night air. The horde behind me stills, their jerking movements halting as the sound reaches them too. I shuffle closer to the edge of the hill. The source of the sound becomes clear, a parade winding through the heart of the town. A line of floats glinting in the glow of street lamps. The faint murmur of a crowd rises and falls, a tide of laughter and cheers. A girl, perched high on a float, her silhouette framed by an arch of shimmering lights. She wears a crown, its rhinestones catching the light in sharp, brilliant flashes. Homecoming. The word slides into my thoughts like an echo from another life, a memory scraped raw by the hunger. The horde stirs, their murmurs rising into a single, unified sound, a deep groan that ripples through the trees like a storm wind. The parade below doesn't hear it, their cheers drowning out the first whispers of doom. Emily lunges forward, and the horde follows, their shuffling steps gaining momentum. The trees shake with their movements, the ground trembling as the mass of us begins to descend. The hunger in me surges, unrelenting, unstoppable. The distance between us and the town closes, the fragile tether of memory slipping from my grasp. Grace. The name whispers through my mind one last time before the hunger consumes it. The horde moves as one, and we descend the hill,